So the name of this mutated bacteria in the backrooms is called bacillus, and everything about bacillus will be explained in the other parts of this video. I did research about bacteria, but used ChatGPT to explain it in a more simplified way so a normal everyday person like you and me can understand. So bacteria are single-celled organisms, not comparable to humans because we have many cells that construct a living being, but a bacterial cell is only just itself, one cell. Bacteria can reproduce, making copies of itself, making more, and spread very fast and easily, which is why we humans in large groups can get sick a lot faster than people in smaller groups, which explains why mutated bacteria cells in the backrooms can construct a living bacterial organism in a short amount of time, but just more in an advanced level than simply staying as a cell to infect living things, but instead becomes a living thing itself over time, plus mutation, speeding up the process when they have a living host. In real life, bacteria are everywhere in the air we breathe, water, soil, skin, food, surfaces, and the insides of our bodies. It can also be spread through human contact, touching, coughing, or sneezing. This explains the coughing that people experience when in the backrooms. Bacteria also have their own shape cells, which explains why the entities have different body shapes and forms. And I think it also depends on the host genetics, whatever genetic trait the human had before they died and their bodies got taken over by a bacillus, which will determine how the entity will be shaped. Now that you guys have a basic understanding of bacteria, let's continue. Okay, so if you have seen the backrooms, which I'm pretty sure you have because you clicked on this video, there are all kinds of entities behind these walls. Going to leave out the game version of the entities and focus on the lore version because the game to the backrooms from the found footages are very different, and the game version isn't lore accurate to the found footage one, and is definitely not going to be lore accurate to the movie that is coming out, so we're not even going to be talking about the game version. But anyway, the entities that you guys see, they look plain, nothing but a mass of black goo, which I have to assume is bacteria because something living has to construct their bodies and hold them in place. But most of the forms of the entities are not perfect. From the found footage vids from Game Pixels, most of the only bacterial entities that we saw were the stick body entity, a very tall stickly bodied entity in the pitfalls footage that we barely don't even get a good look at, kind of, and a humanoid one that almost looks like a human but not really. Just looks like a fat guy, not gonna lie, but doesn't have any facial features or anything like that. Just like black bacterial goo in the form of a human body. But the voices that they always make sound very distorted, like they are actually trying to mimic human speech that was left of them before being assimilated, but it's not perfect.
That's not a person.
What is that?
That is not a fucking person!
What? Morgan, talk to me. What do you see? What's going on?
In this found footage video, one of them managed to mimic a human voice perfectly, but the only purpose of the entity sounding human was to lure its prey, like jungle cats. You guys might be asking, why am I comparing an entity to a jungle cat, bruh? Let me explain, brother. Jungle cats mimic baby animals or birds, giving them the illusion that it's safe to come closer, while the predator is just waiting to catch its prey. It's easier for your prey to come to you instead of chasing because it uses up a lot of energy, but at the same time, I think the entities have limited energy. I could be wrong, but due to their biology and their weirdly shaped like bodies, I guess that causes them to not be physically efficient, at least not yet, until they fully form, somewhat in the future, which is why when you go to a different part of the backrooms, they just stop chasing you after a while. Something that I have noticed in one of the videos, every time one of the cameramen that is trapped while stuck in the backrooms trying to escape, from the entities, and then when they go to a different part of the back rooms, like I said a couple seconds ago, they completely just stop chasing for whatever reason. Either they just get tired and go back, or there's like a physical barrier that doesn't allow the entity to go to like certain parts of the back rooms. I don't know, but I guess we will see or have an explanation about that when the movie comes out. We all know that throughout history, bacteria have always evolved in our real life, but in the back rooms, they evolve in ways that are out of the ordinary for bacteria. Sure, some bacteria get stronger, some weaker, but this special bacteria can literally evolve and change a living organism's body into a completely different shape when deceased. I'm not too sure if they are conscious. They just act only out of instinct instead of thought, which it looks like it to me, since the first thing they do when seeing another living organism is attack and only do any action when it comes to its own survival. Like a bacterial virus attacking your immune system. And the body of the person is usually dead, so it's like, is it the same person or the bacteria completely taking over the actions of the infected body and its mind? Which explains why they're able to do certain like human like voices and certain human actions from the victim's body that they have taken over. You can also see the bacteria slowly spreading on the walls, which is visible to the human eye because all the bacteria are microscopic, making our eyes invisible to it, but this bacillus is mutated, so it looks like it has gotten bigger in size, which explains why this bacteria is deadly when infected. Because if you're able to literally see a virus or a certain kind of bacteria in its full size with like literally with your eyes, you can like visually actually see it without having to use any like microscopes or anything like that, you know this bacteria or virus is going to be deadly as hell. Like it's going to be way worse probably than COVID-19, because man, this bacillus is something else, man. Like it just doesn't make you sick, but it literally alters your biology. That is crazy, man. I hope, you know, bacteria doesn't evolve to that level to what the backrooms got. That would be crazy, man. That would literally be an apocalypse, honestly. I wonder if this bacteria, bacillus, originated in the backrooms or somehow came from our world, which is just normal bacillus, because bacillus is actually a real thing in real life, but somehow it no-clipped to the back rooms when they started opening like the portals or like the barrier from our world to the back rooms, which caused certain like items and I guess cells like bacteria falling through from our world to the back rooms. And since certain like germs and viruses and bacteria fell from our world to the back rooms, that's what caused them to slowly mutate, because how everything works in the back rooms is like very different in our world somehow. So that's why they got it like a crazy like enhancement and making it more dangerous. I guess we will never know, but hopefully, I'm gonna say this again, I don't care, this gets explained when the movie drops, because like those things sound very interesting. I just hope they don't like take all that out and don't show in the movie, because I'm just gonna be so confused. So like hopefully they keep that stuff in. In the back rooms, there's no signs of living organisms anywhere besides just bacteria. So I think the bacteria is airborne in the back rooms, because from the videos, the people recording in the back rooms tend to cough a lot. Which is the bacteria slowly going into their system. But since they can mutate, do they turn, simulate the person, the human body they made contact with? Or do they slowly evade the body until they become weak and then later die from diseases, to later keep some parts of the body alive for them to use later, or I think to feed on while the rest, the uneaten parts or parts that are not kept alive, rots away? Which explains why a deceased human body will look like that in the back rooms. You know how your immune system protects and kills any bacteria that enter your body? Yeah, if mutated bacillus bacteria enter your body, you're done. This is basically bacteria on steroids that can destroy your immune system like it's nothing, because this mutated strain is very hazardous, being able to completely destroy a human's immune system, and it also causes biological and physical changes to your body, which turns you into those creatures. Because the bacillus that we have in real life can actually destroy your immune system, but the one in the backrooms, it destroys your immune system but in a more advanced level. I just did the research about that, and I just learned something new myself about how the bacteria in the backrooms alter your body. Like, man, like, wow, like I didn't even know that. Plus, the advanced stages of bacterial infection is increased. Examples of real infections, like my ear infection I had last year, which was really painful, but in the backrooms, it's way worse. It looks like you have to be dead for them to actually infect the body, using you like a host that have a body to evolve and hunt other living things, so it can continue to thrive in the backrooms and repeat the process of attacking any other life that enters the backrooms that they may come across. Man, my ear infection is way better than all of that. So at least you don't have to worry about feeling any pain, or hopefully you're not conscious through the whole process of your body being infected and being simulated, because that would be scary. But honestly don't know. It's honestly just a theory. How this bacteria works is that when it invades the body when you are alive, you experience symptoms like coughing, but when you're not alive, it somehow stops the decomposition process, leaving some parts of the body as normal and alive while other parts decay completely, which is strange for bacteria because the whole body usually gets taken over within 24 to 58 hours, leaving no parts of the body alive. I think this happens so easily because when a person gets infected, they quickly start coughing after being in the backrooms for a while, because the immune system is having a hard time recognizing it due to this bacillus bacteria being a mutated strand, which means it's a lot stronger, like a Viltrumite, destroying everything in its path and keeping those paths alive if it finds it useful for itself. I have a lot of questions about this bacteria stuff, on how it works and the effects on the human body, but hopefully this gets explained when the movie drops.